welcome to the very first Austin Glug event. And tonight I'm joined by Emily. Emily's here, so she's our very, very special host this evening.
So for 5 years, my friends and I put on a Texas art and beer festival where we paired up breweries from all over Texas with contemporary artists and helped them to collaborate and find sort of the similarities between their processes.
Hello.
So next up, we've got Independence and Nick, the marketing director for Independence, and then these three wonderful folks who are a team of designers working with Independence on a rebrand. So can I start with the designers just telling me sort of how your team came to be and what your responsibilities are and roles and how you work together?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you hear me? Cool. Absolutely. Thanks, Tim. So we're all independent designers. We've all worked at studios before and are currently on our own. And for this particular project, I was actually contacted by Nick because we had worked together on a project previously when I was employed at a studio and kind of hit it off. We worked really well together. The project was a great success. It was one of my favorite projects that I worked on at the studio, and so Nick contacted me, and it's a big project. It's a rebrand. So I needed some help, and these are my studio mates, Drew and Keith. And so, that's kind of how it started. And I'll let these guys introduce themselves as well.
I'm Drew. I've worked with Lauren on and off in different at a studio and on this project. So we've known each other for, 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah, long time.
Just to be asked to be involved in it has been an honor, and it's been great working with my friends and on an independence project with us being all independent. So it really kind of comes full circle.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels weird talking. I guess I already did this.
How weird does it feel? How
You're
weird
in
does
the
it
same
feel?
No, but
seat,
my
too.
experience with these two, they've been long-term friends. I've known Lauren for close to a decade almost, and she and her wife are dear friends of mine. And I met Drew eventually, and then we definitely aligned. They're my brother and sister for sure. Good friends of mine, and I align with them creatively and their outlook on life. And I don't know, it kind of came together naturally. They were both kind of leaving where they were before and jumping out independently, and I aligned with that, and it definitely resonated. I feel like we're speaking the same language, and we came together in a place of just totally being in that same place. Now being in the same environment to share and do work is super intimidating and really growing and really awesome. We all are experiencing crazy shit in the last 2 years of just being in a space together, seeing where it's going, but really inspired, really being in a spot where you just want to make and challenge and question who you are and what you want to do with all this, And these two are definitely, without a doubt, a catalyst for me that challenge and help me with that. So
Yeah, dude.
I love them.
So Nick, how did you
over here?
how did you know that Lauren was right? And then, what were you thinking? What did she bring that you knew she was capable of? And then what did you think going from what maybe you intended to be monogamous relationship and then it opening up a little and
So I wasn't worried about a poly relationship. So that was cool. But actually, we talked to a few different designers. It wasn't just Lauren. So we had been with a really great designer who had taken the brewery a long way. I think we went through a rebrand in 5 years ago, basically. But what has happened throughout the course of the brewery's history is a lot of it's piecemeal, which I think just happens with brands that are around a long time. And I think that's also it's reflective of the group who makes up this brewery. they're a bunch of crazy folks. So when I actually joined the brewery little over a year ago, and when I came in, it was kind of like the entire team recognized that there was this problem with consistency and people recognizing their brands. Independence is one of the oldest breweries in Austin, but a lot of people are not aware that we brew some of the beers that we brew. They're like, oh wow, you do Power and Light? That's crazy. The same brewery that does Stash does Austin Amber. So for me that they have said that this has been an issue for them for a while. I think the reason that it happened is because there are a lot of artists, like Amy, the founder, is an artist, and she basically they recognized the problem, and so we talked to a few different designers. But knowing that I had the great experience with Lauren, and I felt confident. I don't know. After talking to a bunch of designers, you want to work with somebody who you think you will, who you jive with, that's cool, that's on the same, mindset. So.
And going off of that, I think that, me being an independent, I having gotten contacted for that job, obviously knew immediately that I needed help, and I obviously trust these two guys so much and knew what they could bring to the table, and I think that the work would not be what it is without their help and contributions. So I think that it's really it's kind of full circle with the name Independence, us all being independent, and then kind of the genesis of Independence as well, like Amy and Rob being unhappy, being in their 9-to-5 jobs, and deciding that they want to brew full time, and starting this brewery and being independent. It's it's independence, full steam ahead. So it's pretty cool.
So I know that you can't divulge too much about the rebrand, but do you kind of want to walk us through what you can as far as what the influences are, what you were looking for, what you're trying to say about the brewery?
Yeah. Nick came to us with the problem, like he said, their kind of lack of consistency in the market and on the shelves. People didn't really quite know that, like he said, the same brewery that brews Stash brews Austin Amber, even though people might be familiar with those two brands. They're not familiar with the overarching brand. So, oh God, I waited too long and now it's asleep. That's a parallel for Valentine's Day, right?
Head home quickly, y'all.
So whenever we start these things, and I know these guys are the same, you ask a lot of questions of the client and try to, uncover stuff that you couldn't yourself. So we started asking questions of Nick and of Amy, the founder, and of Rob as well. And we're going to show a lot of inspiration imagery, because we can't show the finished product yet because we haven't launched yet. We're launching in April, so look out.
But it's gonna kick ass.
Yeah, watch out,
beer
y'all.
shells. It's pretty dope.
But Independence was one of the first craft breweries in Austin, and so we were really trying to push that old school kind of headstrong Texan Austin, personality through the brand. And so we started pulling a lot of imagery that wasn't necessarily, visual representations of what the brand would end up looking like, but more inspiration. So Ann Richards with a shotgun, I don't know how much more inspired I could be. Oh, I'm falling off my stool. Okay, it's tight up here. Horseshoe Lounge, R.I.P. That neon sign is fucking amazing and simple and great and like even yeah.
The Armadillo headquarters. Come on. Look at all those armadillos.
Classic.
That was a big conversation, Armadillo headquarters. I remember we talked about that, like in terms of like who we're trying to like identify with outside of this Austin locals.
Yeah,
but
it was like old Austin historic venues and posters and the bands that played there and stuff like that.
and then like
Signage.
Amy and Rob are so 90s Austin kind of vibes. Like they would go to Meat Puppet show probably or something like that, or Nirvana. But like
Definitely.
but like that came through because that is, I think everybody here can really relate to that certain era, right? Like old
gritty,
identity.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
The nitty gritty.
Nitty gritty.
And then that image towards the top with the sheep and the one black sheep in the middle of everything. Kind of a theme that we're really hanging our hats on for this rebrand is the idea that independence is kind of the black sheep of the Austin brewing scene and really owning that because these guys can probably really, I think all of us as independents feel like black sheep a lot of the time. And I think it's a term that you give yourself, and it's kind of like a badge of honor that you can wear. Like, it's a good thing to be a black sheep. It's a good thing to be different. So really pushing that forward.
Cool. So you guys are very like place centric. There's definitely, we can tell there's going to be a lot of sense of place. So can each of you tell us your 2 favorite things about Texas or Austin?
I know one. It
One
seems
will
like
do.
no one ever honks when someone is at a light. Like you will like have to sit through like a turn signal. It'll go like you sit through another stoplight because the person like 3 cars down didn't turn and no one honked. Like that to me is I've never seen that anywhere. I moved here from New York and I was like, what the fuck is going on? But like I felt pressured to not honk, so I don't honk anymore.
That's a good one.
I don't know. For me, it's just nostalgia. You know, like I've lived in Texas my whole life, and so it's like shows, hanging out with your friends. Like I feel like I resonated personally a lot with independence and the owners because I kind of come from a music background, and I really miss that part of Austin when it was like not polished and high rises everywhere. So I would say nostalgia. It's just kind of where I'm from. So.
Lauren?
You go first.
I don't even know at this point because I've lived here my whole life, and it's just like I am Texan, so I know what I don't like. I can tell you what I don't like about it.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not go there. Keith,
Then
you got
let's just
anything?
not go there.
I kind of identify with that. I mean, like at the same time, like we're all kind of like living in a city. It's like evolving so rapidly fast. So it's like I have a choice. I can be malleable to it, or I can just like kind of push against it. But we're Texans here, and like it's kind of like, man, there's like some cool shit around us. You know, I mean, you think about like everything from like Tex-Mex to trees to fucking nature. I mean, anything. Like
There's
I mean,
good
it's like-
ones.
I mean, there's some good ones in there, you know, and I think a lot of this embodies a lot of that. It's like you think about like who Willie Nelson is.
Yeah, that shirt he's wearing is amazing.
Man, like all this stuff, it's like embodies. It's like the rest. I really do feel like the rest of the U.S. is like looking at or not. I think Austin personally over any other city in Texas. They're like, man, Austin has some cool shit going on, and I do believe that because I have friends in like New York where they're like, what are breakfast tacos? And it's like, man, like come experience. Like this is like this embodies all of that, like a real true spirit of humanity, and that's why I fucking love living here. I wouldn't live anywhere else, and I think like independence can really embody that because it's like they stay true to that, and like kind of what Drew was saying with like the black sheep thing. It's like everything can keep moving on. There can be like new people moving here from like LA, and like I want to do a whatever concept, and but like they'll stay true to their spirit, you know what I mean, and stay true to who they are, and you can't like. I mean, you can't scrub that. Like that's like something really honest, and so they'll come through. I think we have like the right team to like embody that because everybody identifies with that. You know.
Yeah.
So what advice would you guys give to like new brewers or new designers setting out on a relationship like this to make it a happy, healthy relationship?
I would recommend that brewers like learn a little bit about design and like some of the terminology and familiarize themselves with how to give feedback, because I think that can be very difficult when I would imagine just that like from the if the client can't communicate what they don't like, it's really hard to move forward. So that would be my recommendation to
It's a good one.
brewers.
Yeah, for sure. And Nick's been so great about being that person that translates that feedback. Cause the brewers, they're in their own world a lot of the time with this stuff. So yeah, it can be difficult, but I love that suggestion. I love that suggestion. It would make our jobs a lot easier.
Yeah, it's definitely like collectively between all three of us, we've worked on so much beer in our careers that I can say without a doubt that Nick's been like the easiest to communicate with and like really champions our work, and he does a good job of talking to their team and listening to us and then coming to a happy medium. And like we look at the work now like over a year later since we started it, and we're just like, whoa, this is great work, and it's gonna impact the Austin beer scene, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just echoing that. Yeah.
So having worked doing design for breweries before and working with beer, how does designing with TABC in mind change what you're doing, or what are some of those, like, how is it to work within those constraints?
I feel like Nick could probably speak to this
Nick.
better than
Come on, Nick.
us.
It is the worst. Like, it is the worst. It's the worst part of this whole process, for sure. We're just constantly getting stuff rejected for no reason. You have to, like,
But also
figure out
getting
why.
approved, and we could not believe why.
Yeah. Certain things are approved, and you're like, what? That? We got through
You should
with
tell
that?
about the stash, the previous stash one. Specifically, I think everybody here would appreciate that.
Okay, so we have a beer called Stash IPA.
That one.
Obviously, they're connotations. Rob and Amy are old school hippies. So in the rebrand, there was a version of the Stash can that we did that was like basically just weed buds, like straight up buds. Like there's
Straight
no
up
other
drawn
way
weed.
to interpret
Some
it.
dank shit too.
Yeah. It was like, purple and yellow hairs, like. And Amy, to her credit, she was like, yeah, just send it in. Like, they'll approve that. She's like, they won't know what it is. They're the fucking government. They won't know. So,
And
we
it got
did
it got approved.
quickly. Like, no revisions required. It's amazing.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. So does it ever feel like too many cooks in the kitchen, or like it's hard to rein in, or do you guys feel like what are some of the benefits and challenges of working as a group, since you're generally work independently?
That's a really great question. I mean, I think that, all of us have unique skill sets, and for this project in particular, I think that certain facets of the project are kind of perfect for certain people's design sensibilities. So it's been really good, and at times a little bit challenging figuring out who is, the right fit for what role. But overall, I think that we do a really good job of coming together and doing what's right for the project, and working with Nick and the brewers' feedback. I mean, there are a lot of voices, but I think that is any design project. So, juggling that is just part of the industry, and learning how to deal with that. It's part of the job. So,
Yeah, and now I think we're to a point now too where we have a system kind of in place to where we can, if we need to create new labels or seasonals or whatever it may be, that like we're all, I don't know, I feel like we've all even kind of adapted our own styles to be able to really tackle any part of it. I think any of the three of us could do any piece of it.
Yeah.
And early on in the project, we were all doing very different ideas in the beginning stages, but where it's landed is really the best, I think. And we've done a really good job of figuring out how to tackle it, and it's been great.
In dealing with us, I mean, I have to say, like, they were really nice. Like, they were really nice
Really
about
nice.
about us. Like, I would
Put
say
that on my
that
grave.
we are a nightmare client. Like, sometimes I think we can be. I think what happens is we give a lot of like contradictory feedback because, like, as a brewery, our philosophy is like there should be buy-in. So everyone in the brewery should have a say. But of course, like, okay, so then it's like designed by committee, which is the worst, right? And I think that's a common problem. So like we've tried to do what we can to deal with that, but I would say that like the three of them have been so amazing at like being patient. Like I'm always concerned that they're just gonna get mad someday. I'm like, I like them too much. Like I'm gonna figure out how to
time
like,
bombs, all of them.
yeah, exactly. Like God, how do I give this piece of feedback that I have to give them because this is what people have told me to tell them.
It's all been really good I think honestly, like if we flash forward to now, like I think collectively we all sit in the studio and we're like, wow, it's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
And also like you are like very prescriptive in your feedback. I can't tell you how many clients we've all had and anyone in this room that's just like, I just don't like it. And they have no other way of articulating why they don't like it. So you've given feedback and you've also been very direct about how to tackle it, and that makes it really easy for us to be like, all right, let's work with this and make it as badass as we can.
I think it's good to be challenged as a designer by a client because I think it helps keep you in check. It helps keep your own creative process in check, and definitely a lot of where we've landed with the brand, we would not have gotten there without the feedback that we received. So, definitely grateful for you being that person that's championing the work.
And a great middleman between
I don't
a brewery
envy. I
and us.
do not envy
we
your
feel
job.
bad for you, man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You guys are kind of in a unique position that you work in marketing and that that's not a direct relationship as much between brewers and designers. And so sometimes I'm sure that's great because you get to be sort of the translator or the filter. Or
I mean, I think it's really important because I honestly believe some of the things that I've heard from the brewers, like from that side of things, like are just like they're just kind of not nice, and it's like that is not productive. Like I understand
Good
what
cop,
you're trying
bad
to
cop.
say. That's good, you know what I mean? But like let's actually take that as a piece of feedback that is like productive, that's useful, and so I think that's really important. Have somebody, like from the brewery perspective, have somebody in the organization who like can take all of that feedback and like really try to figure out what it is trying to say, what everyone is trying to say. What is the feedback to the designers?
That's pretty ideal in my opinion because I feel like Nick is in a way going to bat for us in front of like how many people are at Independence now? How big is your team?
40 people and like really honestly like every person.
How many people are brewing that beer and have like a very headstrong mindset about what it needs to be? I mean, that's a huge daunting task in my opinion. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And I feel like Nick is a really good medium for us, like what we identified, like to go to fight for us in a way, go to bat. So that's important.
That's awesome. So I think we just have like a minute left. If you had any more images you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, more Armadillo World Headquarters, obviously, and Big Lebowski. I mean, a bunch of just things that embody independence, really,
like the book about air guitaring.
Y'all better brush up on your air guitar skills. Because you're going to be air guitaring when you see this new packaging. Woo!
Oh, you will.
Well, thank you guys so much, and we're all
Thank you.
waiting with bated breath to see what you've made.
Oh, wait, check out that belt buckle,
That
y'all.
belt buckle, though.
That is in the living flesh.
The significance of the grackle is that it's like the black sheep of birds. So yeah, these guys came up with it. It was like, yes, that's it. That is it.
And then, woo, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
guys.